Fire Emblem is back, baby! After 3 years since the announcement of Fire Emblem Engage, we have finally got a new mainline, brand new title called Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, announced at this week's Nintendo Direct on September 12th. You guys might have already seen my reaction to this announcement with my friend Imperfect Works. We were watching the Direct together, and this video is going to be a little bit of a mix of a trailer breakdown and analysis, but I also want to talk about the general state of the Fire Emblem franchise and where things are going from here, because this announcement made me think about a lot of things regarding the future of Fire Emblem, Nintendo, JRPGs, and the Nintendo Switch 2. So if you guys are super hyped for Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave like I am, and like so many other Fire Emblem and JRPG fans are, the best thing that you can do to show that support and that excitement is to hit that like button and subscribe, because I'll be talking about this game a lot more approaching its release. So before we get into the trailer breakdown or anything, I just want to talk about some general things about this game and about the series. And I want to kind of gush that this is something that I've been waiting for so long. This is the first legitimate first-party Nintendo Switch 2 JRPG that we're seeing. This is Nintendo. This has got that Nintendo seal of approval. These guys have had their hands on the Switch 2 dev kits and the Switch 2 technology for so long, and I've always been like so interested and so intrigued at what a first-party Nintendo JRPG is going to look like, whether it is a Monolith Soft game, a Xenoblade game, a Fire Emblem game, something like that. And we finally know what it looks like. The Fortune's Weave looks so good, guys. Visually, stylistically, graphically, everything just really pops and it looks just beautiful. And honestly, to me, I've seen a lot of people say this online and other YouTube videos as well, and I totally agree. This looks on par with other JRPGs from other high-end systems. Like, this looks like it could be a game that you play on like a PS4 or a PS4 Pro or even a PS5, honestly. And this is what I was so excited and just dying to see with the Nintendo Switch 2 coming from Nintendo and other RPG developers, and I'm very satisfied. As far as the art style, I will say this probably looks like one of the best looking Fire Emblem games we've ever seen in terms of just the character models and the design of the architecture, the people, the monsters, everything just looks amazing. And I think it's a perfect blend of the art styles of Fire Emblem Three Houses and Engage. I know a lot of people really love the art style of Three Houses, and I really did too, but I have to say, the graphical limitations of Fire Emblem Three Houses made it so that a lot of the art style just didn't really pop out as much as I wanted it to. Of course, you get a lot of the great looking characters in their portraits, but those are just kind of like PNG images. And in contrast, I loved how Fire Emblem Engage looked graphically. Like, I think it's one of the greatest looking first-party games on Switch in terms of just the overall visuals, but I didn't feel this way, but a lot of people just didn't like the overly artistically anime aesthetic, the big eyes, the overly stylized characters or whatever. I didn't mind it. I actually kind of liked it, but I think Fortune's Weave has found a really good middle ground. It is still in the more kind of like mature and grittier look that Three Houses has, but the characters still look very stylized. Like, their eyes are very expressive, their faces are very expressive, and it's not as like gritty as Fire Emblem Three Houses and Three Hopes was. And I like to compare it to games like Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild. Like, you know how Zelda has the gritty and realistic Twilight Princess, and then it has the cartoony aesthetic of Wind Waker, and I think Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom really established a good middle ground between the artistic stylized look as well as the more realistic and down-to-earth grounded look. And another good example is Xenoblade Chronicles 3. You have Xenoblade 1, way more realistic, even Xenoblade X, kind of more realistic. Xenoblade 2, completely anime, completely stylized, really big eyes, a lot more bigger things in Xenoblade 2. And then you got Xenoblade 3, really good kind of balance between the two art styles. And I think that's what Fortune's Weave really reminds me of in terms of the art direction. And now, I want to talk about the demonic beast in the room, because I am over the moon, happy, excited, glad, thankful, so just really happy that we're getting Fortune's Weave. In the back of my head, I'm still thinking, this is not that Fire Emblem 4 remake that has been rumored for forever. So I did mention this in my reaction video if you guys got to see that, but I think it's time to put that rumor to rest, guys. It may or may not have even existed, we don't know, but I am just ready to kind of move on from it for now. I've been on that copium train for so long, and I don't really care as much anymore because you guys have known in past videos that I made, I will always want a new and original title over a remake. And I made that very vocal in my video about Persona 4 Remake and Final Fantasy IX Remake. And this is the case as well. Like I've said in videos talking about Fire Emblem 4 Genealogy of the Holy War that it is a game that deserves the remake and I would want a remake for it, but I'm thinking now, like thinking back to like my philosophy on remakes and stuff, if it means we get a original game or we get the remake, I'll take the original game, and I'm very happy that's the timeline we're living in right now. And honestly, I want to ask you guys in the comments, let me know in the comments below, you guys think this remake is still happening? I mean, I don't want to hold on to the copium for much longer because, I mean, the hype and the focus is now on Fortune's Weave, but I'm still thinking in the back of my head, is this still gonna happen? Because Fire Emblem is not opposed to remakes. We've had the DS remakes of Shadow Dragon and New Mystery, and then we had Echoes, which was the remake of Gaiden, Shadows of Valentia, you know that. I still think it's possible that it can happen, but just let me know in the comments below what you think of everything that's going on, potentially with Fire Emblem 4 Remake. What's crazy about this game is it seems to be continuing the story and the lore of Fire Emblem 3 Houses. And that's incredible. That's really cool, but I also have a little bit of mixed feelings about this, and I want to know what you guys think as well in the comments below. I really like how many JRPG games within their respective franchises have dedicated stories for each entry, and I know Fire Emblem is very different with that because you have the Tellius games, Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn, they're like prequel sequel, they kind of connect to each other. The GBA games are connected, by those I mean Binding Blade and Blazing Sword, and even the older NES games, like you have the two Marth games which are connected, and even Gaiden connects to those games as well. Fire Emblem is a grander connected universe, but what I like about Fire Emblem so much is you can jump into any game and still get a great experience from it because you don't have to understand past games and past experiences. I mean, maybe if it's a direct sequel like Radiant Dawn, you might need to understand. That is my slight kind of worry with Fortune's Weave. It's not like a major, like, a point of contention or anything, but this is our third quote-unquote Fodlan adjacent game. I'm calling it Fodlan adjacent because we don't even know if this game takes place in Fodlan. It's just using a lot of the lore and some of the returning characters and themes and symbolism that we have seen in the prior Fodlan games. And I'm going to be honest and upfront, I hope this doesn't stick around for forever. And like, don't get me wrong, I love Three Houses. I love it so much. I played Crimson Flower. I was iffy on it, but then I played Verdant Wind last year, and then I really like understood that love for Three Houses. I really fell into it because I loved Golden Deer, I love the characters, I love the lore, and I really love the setting of Fodlan and the world that they've created with the characters, the story, the backstory of all this stuff. And there's so much lore to dig into, and we've seen that with Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes as well, which I gotta get cracking and playing that game as well. But I hope that they can experiment with different settings, different kinds of deities and characters and lore elements and world building a little more outside of the stuff that they've established with Fodlan. And I don't think that is a major point of contention. I don't think that's going to be like something bad when it comes to Fortune's Weave. I don't think Fortune's Weave is really limiting itself when it comes to a lot of the storytelling elements or anything. I'm just saying, like, looking forward into the future of Fire Emblem, I hope that like every single mainline game we get after this is not like connected to the other ones in terms of like Sothis and the goddess and all that stuff. I hope we still get a little more creative when it comes to like world building and storytelling stuff. And outside of world building and story and all that, I am curious to see what gameplay and presentation elements will be taken from Three Houses and brought into Fortune's Weave. Will we have to do multiple playthroughs? Will there be multiple routes for different characters? Will there be a self-insert avatar character like we had for Byleth and we had for Alir in the past 2 Switch games? That is something that has been on my mind, and I am not entirely sure what to feel about that, but I think once we get more information on this game, once we speculate a little more on this game, and once we see more that this game has to offer, I think we'll learn more about all that stuff. I will say, in general, I would prefer if this game is a singular beginning to end game with no multiple routes or multiple playthroughs required to understand the full story. Similar to how Fire Emblem Engage was, that was just a game that you played from beginning to end, you got the entire story from beginning to end, or any other Fire Emblem game for that matter, like Fire Emblem Awakening or Fire Emblem Echoes, or even like some of the GBA games. I love that Three Houses has that much content packed into it, but having to continuously replay the game over and over and over and over again to get the entire scope of the lore and the story is a little bit exhausting. Like I said before, I played Crimson Flower and I played Verdant Wind, and then I had to take a break. I started Azure Moon, but it was just kind of exhausting having to do that prequel chapter over again and then having to go into the time skip and do all that over again. It just felt a little repetitive, and don't get me wrong, the game is fun. I enjoy playing the game, but it does get a little taxing. But I will say, if Fortune's Weave has multiple routes and multiple playthroughs, I hope that it doesn't have a part 1 and a part 2. You know, in Three Houses, you had White Clouds, and then you had the time skip, and you had to play White Clouds to get to the time skip. I was always like, why can't I just skip this pre-time skip White Cloud stuff and just go straight into the time skip so I can get to the good stuff, understand what's going on, get all the story reveals, and just move on to the next one, you know? I hope that one final thing I want to talk about before we move on to the trailer itself is this is a very big deal. I don't know if a lot of people are talking about this, especially in the Nintendo community, so I wanted to really emphasize this right now. Fire Emblem was the closer for this Nintendo Direct, and usually what closes out a Direct is a big blowout game that Nintendo is really confident in and knows is a high bar, high quality, high caliber, really, really good game that they want us to get excited for. And this time, it was Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. And correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm pretty sure I'm right on this, but this is the first time a Fire Emblem game has closed out a Nintendo Direct. A Nintendo Direct full of Mario stuff, full of first-party reveals, Metroid Prime 4, a big new Resident Evil 9 reveal, and the closer was Fire Emblem. I say this because I think the series has reached a new level of popularity over the course of the Nintendo Switch generation. Like, think about all the way back on the 3DS. Fire Emblem was about to get canceled. It was about to get thrown into the trash if Fire Emblem Awakening did not sell well. And of course, we know the story. Fire Emblem Awakening sold way more than they expected it to, and it revived the franchise. It kept the franchise going. And then we saw Three Houses. Three Houses was a monumental success for JRPGs and for the Fire Emblem series in general. It brought a whole lot of new fans into the series. It was like a big cultural movement in gaming in the summer of 2019, if you guys remember. If you guys remember, Three Houses sold around 4 million units, which is very, very good for a JRPG. That's more than any other Xenoblade Chronicles game has sold, and that has sold more than many games that Square Enix is even putting out now. And on top of that, I know a lot of you guys, and I even don't care about mobile games that much. I don't even play Fire Emblem Heroes, but I'm just saying, Fire Emblem Heroes, that game, has grossed beyond $1 billion. And of course, it's not in the big boy franchises like Mario, Zelda, Animal Crossing, anything like that, but it's nothing to scoff at. As a JRPG, it is quite mainstream and it's a lot more popular now. And going back to the whole thing about closing out directs, Nintendo closes out directs with really big, like, tentpole games that they know are high quality. Xenoblade closed out directs twice, with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition in September 2019 and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 in February 2022. And if we like match this game to something like Xenoblade Chronicles 3, new mainline Xenoblade Chronicles game, and we look at Fortune's Weave, new mainline Fire Emblem game, this could be something legit. I'm very, very excited for this, and I'm very happy with what we saw. Like I said, in terms of popularity or anything, sales don't mean anything, and the sales aren't the end-all be-all for any of this, but I'm just saying I'm really happy with how Fire Emblem has been going. I'm very happy for the future of the series, regardless if we get more remakes or not. I'm very, 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 very happy that the next thing we're getting is a mainline game. It's exciting, yet also kind of questionable how things are gonna go with them continuing the Fodlan lore and things set up in Fire Emblem Three Houses, but I'm generally very optimistic for how this series and how this stuff is going. So let me know in the comments below what you think about all of what I've said so far about the state of the series, what Fortune's Weave looks like to you. Are you excited for this game? Are you upset about this game? Did you want the Genealogy remake? Are you looking forward to more, I guess, Fodlan adjacent lore? And yeah, what are your overall thoughts on this? And before we move on to the trailer breakdown, the quick little trailer breakdown that I'm planning to do, if you made it this far into the video, thank you guys so much for watching. It means a lot, but it would help me out so much if you give this video a like. Not only that, guys, I just want to tell you guys one quick thing. Last time I checked on my YouTube analytics, I am at 2,880 subscribers. That is 120 subscribers away from 3K, from 3,000. I know, like, I've been kind of slacking. I've had my breaks here and there, but I would really, really love it if you guys who are not subscribed to the channel right now could hit that subscribe button. We're so close, guys. We're so close. And especially if you're a Fire Emblem fan, I don't normally make Fire Emblem videos. So if you're excited for more Fortune's Weave content and you're not subscribed, the subscribe button is free to click on and it will get you potentially more Fire Emblem content in the future leading up to this game. Okay, so here we are at the trailer. I'm just gonna go through this 2-minute, 37-second trailer. Just pick out the highlights that stood out to me, just like how I normally do. Like I was saying, like, this is a perfect combination of the art styles of Three Houses and Engage. Like, not as like anime and stylistic as Engage, but like the texturing and the cell shading and the colors really pop like Engage, but the characters look a lot more grounded like they did in Three Houses. This really stood out to me. When I saw this, I was like, oh my god, this has to be Fire Emblem, and this is very Three Houses coded. In my head, I wasn't like 100% sure that was a Hero's Relic until I saw it a little later, but just the whole aesthetic of it, it literally looks like a Hero's Relic from Fire Emblem Three Houses. And these characters seem to be like our 4 most important characters in the game. You see, that guy, this woman here, this guy over here, and this beautiful lady over here. So the heroic games have begun. So that seems to be the central focus of the story, and honestly, it sort of reminds me of the Tournament for the Throne in Metaphor ReFantasio, that being the central focus of Metaphor's story. The heroic games here seems to be what they're all competing in. We'll learn about that a little later, what their end goal could potentially be. And here's one thing I want to like bounce off you guys. These 4 characters are highlighted a lot in the trailer. Like, they're the central focus of the game. 4 main characters. But, like I was saying before, if potentially there is split pathways, different routes we can take in this game, maybe each different route will be a different story of the tournament in the eyes of these various different characters. So we'll see about that, and their trials and tribulations, their motivations, their end goal. We're going to be playing it from their point of view. I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case, but that is possibly a potential possibility that this game is going to have. What I am very intrigued of over here is you see this town over here. Very cool that we can explore this town, and a lot of people seem to be like comparing this to your monastery or somnial home base, but I'm thinking a little more grander. You know, like in a lot of Fire Emblem games, you explore many towns, you go to other nations, you go across other continents. So my hope is this is not the only town we'll explore, and my hope beyond that is this may not be the only hub area we get to explore. So imagine us going across other continents, doing other things, sort of like we did in Metaphor, how we had to travel all across Uchronia to do the tournament for the throne. What if the heroic games take us across the entire continent of whatever this continent is, whether it's Folin or somewhere else? What if we go across so many places and we have different towns we come across, and those towns act as our different quote-unquote monasteries or somnial hub spaces? That would be really awesome. That would be really cool. What do you guys think of that? So if I'm not mistaken, the Japanese title for the game is Fire Emblem Myriad Colors, but if you directly translate it, I think it translates to Fire Emblem Purple and Red, or 1,000 Purples and Reds. And what's cool is if you go over here next to Kai's level 13 label over here, you can see this kind of like gauge. I don't really know what that is. That might be like equivalent to like our divine pulse or some sort of like special ability that we can do in this game. So I'm curious what that is and how it plays into the story, because like I said, the title translates to purple and red, and we have purple and red, scarlet and violet. So I don't know what that means. Doesn't connect to Pokemon, I'm just saying. And overall, we're finally getting a look at how the battles look like. Looks really cool. Looks very similar to how Engage did. The animations look very similar to how Engage's animations look like, and I really like that because I love the animations in Engage. Look at this. Really, really, really nicely detailed animations over here. The UI is a little messy. I think it's a lot cleaner in Engage, and I don't think it's bad. It's still very legible, readable, it's very effective and useful and all that stuff, but I still prefer the overall cleaner aesthetic of the UI in Engage. The opponent, he falls off his chariot. The details on this are incredible. This is exactly what I hoped for a Switch 2 Fire Emblem game. Amazing, amazing. So here is a Theodora, I think her name is. Another really awesome character design. And look at this, we got Gambits back from Fire Emblem 3 Houses. The Gambits and the battalions. So that's really cool. One thing that I was not the biggest fan of in Fire Emblem 3 Houses is I feel like a lot of the strategy aspect of Fire Emblem was kind of missing, and that's something they brought back in Engage, which I really loved. So in this game, I really hope the weapon triangle is back, because I really like how Engage made it so that when you have a weapon triangle advantage, you can break the opponent. If you have a really like tough, like bulky weapon, you can smash the opponent. Those are really cool things. I really hope that this game brings it back. I hope it doesn't dumb it down. On the topic of a lot of that, I just want to say that I hope that this game is a good balance of story and really good tactical combat, and I am not really seeing right now any like new exclusive gameplay mechanic and gameplay hook that this game would have to like separate itself from like Three Houses or Engage or anything like that. Right now we are seeing Gambits and Battalions, which was from Three Houses, and we're seeing like the animations and stuff which are similar to Engage. No weapon triangle yet, so I'm curious what this half and half red and purple gauge is, and I'm curious, in the more trailers and the more news we get for this game, what is the exclusive combat mechanic that this game is going to have that other Fire Emblem games do not have, and which sets this game apart. This guy is super badass. Dietrich, I think that's his name. Really cool character. Looks like he can teleport. And this guy, as well as even Theodora, looks like they have heroes relics. This guy's weapon is called the Answerer, which is pretty funny. Oh, I love this part of the trailer. I love that line. I hate this man so much that simply killing him will not satisfy me. She is easily my favorite character of the trailer so far. Absolutely love her design. Love her class. Like, she's got like dancer vibes, but it also says that she's a hunter, but also she's kind of like a bard. So I haven't played any bard classes in other Fire Emblem games. I'm not sure if there are any in like any of the Tellius games or anything. But here she like plays this song on her guitar and she summons a beast. Really awesome. Absolutely love Letta's character design, and I'm so excited to learn more about her character. So here's that sister slash best friend character again. Kai's trying to protect her, so I'm curious what their dynamic is. This is a really cool shot as well. I have no context for what any of this could be. I love how this character here has a gun. Supposedly this isn't the first time Fire Emblem characters have had guns, but this is a very funny but also very badass shot as well. Really cool fight scenes. The animations and the cutscenes and the choreography is all so well done, so top of the line. This guy, I don't know who this guy is, and I have no idea who it could be. Some people are even saying it could be Nemesis, because like we got a lot of Three Houses stuff here. I am not truly convinced on that yet, but that would be pretty cool if it is. Wait, let me hear this final voice line one more time. For those who stand upon the final stage, I will grant upon whichever wish you desire. That's what he's saying. So the heroic games reward could be a wish for whatever. I'm thinking it could be access to this game's version of the Fire Emblem, because if I remember correctly, I don't really remember how it was like in Fire Emblem Awakening, but the Fire Emblem itself is something that can grant any wish, if that is true. I don't really remember. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments down below. But regardless, these guys are in it for this really exciting, very enticing end goal. Also, here is the biggest WTF moment in the entire trailer. I recognize that voice. And I recognize that design. That's definitely Sothis. Sothis is back. Cassandra Lee Morris is back voicing her. And my question is, who is she talking to here? Is she, like, if we're to believe that, like, the main, like, self-insert character or the main protagonist could be Kai, she could be talking to Kai, but what if we don't know that there's a new self-insert character, an avatar character? What if we're just seeing the four lords, quote-unquote, and they're the four like pathways we could choose in this game, even though that's not necessarily how I want this game to go. I mean, even if it is, I'm still going to be very excited to see how each pathway goes, but I'm curious in this specific cutscene who Sothis is talking to and why we are in this specific like setting here in this cutscene right now. A lot of questions, because the only person who would potentially be here would be Byleth. So, but what's really cool is some of these characters have a lot of resemblance to other like characters in Fire Emblem Three Houses. Like, a lot of people are saying this guy looks like Claude. People are saying like Theodora has some resemblance to also like Elmyron or like Dusker characters. Where is her in combat? I'm skipping way too far. And even her like crown gives a lot of Edelgard vibes as well. And then you got this guy, Dietrich. A lot of people saying he reminds them of Yuritsa and Mercedes as well. And Letta really gives me Petra vibes. like a beautiful girl from Bridget. And Petra was my best girl in Three Houses, and I'm sure Letta is going to be my best girl in Fortune's Weave as well, so I'm very excited to support her. One point of discussion a lot of people are having is this game a prequel to Three Houses, or is it a sequel? I've seen a lot of evidence for both sides, that it could be a sequel or a prequel, or maybe even an alternative universe, but this is something that really stood out to me. Like, I remember this. If you guys remember, a few weeks or even months back, I think it was actually a few months back, even before the partner showcase, there was a LinkedIn posting of this guy saying that he's working on a sequel to a Nintendo tactical role-playing game or something like that. And the fact that it's that was said sequel, everyone was like, oh my god, a new Fire Emblem game is coming, a new Fire Emblem game is coming. And yeah, now looking back at it, he could have been saying very literally, this is a sequel to Fire Emblem, like this is the next Fire Emblem game. He could have been saying that very literally, and he could not have been like thinking about it in terms of the story connections of Three Houses and Fortune's Weave. But now thinking back to that myself, I'm like, was that a hint that this game is actually a sequel? So I'm not sure. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think of this trailer. Really cool trailer. I am very excited for this game, and I'm excited to learn more about Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. So, that is gonna do it for this long-winded discussion about this game. I am still kind of like processing that this is real and this is actually a thing, and I'm just so happy. I'm so excited for the future of this series and to get more information on this game. So let me know in the comments below, what did you think of this trailer, this reveal? Like I said, if you're excited for Fire Emblem, if you're a Fire Emblem fan and you want more Fire Emblem content about Fortune's Weave and even just about the rest of the series, about like the other games I've played, my thoughts on the games and all that, the series, whatnot. If you're not subscribed to the channel, what are you guys doing? Subscribe to the channel. It's free. 120 away from 3K. We are getting there. We are so close. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. This is Nishquick signing off. Have a great day. Go play some great games today, like a Fire Emblem game. Play one of the Fodlan games. Play another route of Three Houses. If you haven't done all the routes, you have 4 options to choose from if you haven't played all 4 of them. And then you have 3 more or 4 more in Three Hopes. I need to hop on Three Hopes because it runs at 60 FPS on Switch too, so I'll get onto that eventually. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one later. Hey guys, this is Nishquick. Thank you so much for watching that video. And if you enjoyed it, check out these 2 videos on the left and maybe subscribe if you haven't on your way out. And big shout out to all my channel members whose names you can see on the screen right now. I'll see you guys in the next video later.